but it was so unique because it was a brand new game.
Hmm.
Nobody had ever seen it played before. They
Wow.
were making up the rules as they went along, and miracle. And the first broadcast of the first game,
Mhm.
typical Lee Corso, we had a long touchdown pass for the first touchdown of the history of arena football.
Wow.
Corso says, his kid stretches out to make an unbelievable catch. And Corso
Uh-huh.
says, ladies and gentlemen, that was the greatest catch in the history of arena football.
Starting it all, yeah, that sounds like something he was say. It's always been like that,
No, he
always.
has not changed one bit.
I'm here with Bob Rathbun, the Atlanta Hawks broadcaster and commentator, one of the legendary broadcasters and commentators who covered arena football, MLB, college football, any sport you name it, he's done it. Now, Bob, I just want to start off with you've had such a remarkable career. Like I said, all the different sports you've covered. I've actually read that in 1987, you covered the arena football championship with the famous Lee Corso. Now, can you just speak on the experience being able to cover that with Lee? And also, I just wanted to know if you had any thoughts on his final game coming up week 1 of the college football season.
Well, Ryan, that was a unique summer on ESPN, to say the least. You got to remember, back then, ESPN was not the ESPN we know today. They did not have the National Football League at that time. They didn't have Major League Baseball. So they were desperate for summertime programming. And
Wow.
they decided to air these Arena Football League games. And Lee and I did the first season, and then we did the first championship game, and then we did college football together in the
Wow.
fall. But it was so unique because it was a brand new game.
Hmm.
Nobody had ever seen it played before. They
Wow.
were making up the rules as they went along. And miracle. And the first broadcast of the first game,
Hmm.
typical Lee Corso, we had a long touchdown pass for the first touchdown of the history of arena football.
Wow.
Corso says, his kid stretches out to make an unbelievable catch. And Corso
Uh-huh.
says, ladies and gentlemen, that was the greatest catch in the history of arena football.
Starting it all, yeah, that sounds like something he was say. It's always been like that,
No, he
always.
has not changed one bit.
Man, that's great to hear. As I said before, you're someone who's worked a variety of sports from MLB to college football to NBA. Can you kind of explain just the nuances of the sport, how maybe you might have to adjust to one sport or how it is differently covering the sports?
Sure, great question. I think the big thing is to, as quickly as you can as a broadcaster, adapt to the rhythm of that game.
Yeah,
Basketball is much different than baseball,
yeah,
which is much different from football. So you've
mhm,
got to get into the rhythm of the game as a
gotcha.
broadcaster, radio or TV. And
Hmm.
I think that's one of the big things is to get that rhythm established early. Football, you have a play and then downtime for replays,
Yeah, yeah,
play and downtime. Basketball is back and forth. Baseball, you might have one hit every 15 minutes.
yeah, yeah,
So as a broadcaster, you have to prepare for that.
yeah,
Basketball is much more fast paced, so your commentary has to be clipped and to the
mhm,
point, whereas baseball is much more of a storytelling game.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I think that's the big thing is to adapt to the game that you're broadcasting.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. For people who don't know how difficult broadcasting may be, can you just tell them, illustrate your process of how much research you go in, not just on the team, but the season overall, maybe just the sport overall, seeing what's going on? Can you just like your process and your method when
Sure.
researching, preparing for a game or a season?
Sure. It is one of those businesses that looks glamorous from the outside.
Yeah. Hmm.
And once you get into it, you say, ooh, this is what I thought it
Yeah,
was.
yeah, yeah.
The hours, especially when you're getting started, the hours are very long, the pay is very
Hmm.
low,
Hmm.
and you have to be patient. You have to work on your craft, develop your skill.
Hmm.
But if you love what you do, it makes it a lot easier. You
Yeah.
need to be curious, you need to develop your passion, all of that. But for me, even this will be my 30th year in the NBA coming up,
Wow. That's
it
wow.
still is going to take me 8, 10, 12, as many as 15 hours of prep time to get ready for the broadcast that night.
Gotcha.
And
Okay. Wow.
the information age, Ryan, is a blessing and a curse
Mm-hmm.
because the blessing is we have all this information at our fingertips. The curse is we have all this information at our fingertips. I mean,
Yep.
there's just so much stuff out there. You
Hmm.
have to be able to know what you're looking for and what can serve you on the broadcast because
Gotcha.
we get every statistic, every piece of video, every media guide, notes,
Yeah.
talk to the coaches, talk to the players. It's almost too much. So you
Yeah.
got to figure out a way to condense it all down to tell the story of that game. And no two games are the same.
Hmm.
Each game is unique. You've got to find that hook as to why. One of the big things that one of my professors and mentors taught me early on.
Hmm.
Ask yourself this question as you're getting ready to prepare for the game.
Hmm.
Why would anybody spend 2 hours watching this game?
Yeah. Yeah. There you go, right there. Yeah. Yeah.
So if I can convince you, well, I'll tell you why. Because the Hawks have a dynamic point guard in Trey Young. We've
Yeah.
got the Defensive Player of the Year candidate in Dyson Daniels. We've
Yeah.
got the Rookie of the Year in Zachary Richichet. This is
Hmm.
a big game as they go for the playoffs. So you start to develop what the themes of the game will be, and that
Gotcha.
kind of hooks your audiences to as to what to expect.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense actually. Now that you brought that up, I don't know if Sydney's told you what I do, but I'm an ESPN researcher. So we'll
Uh-huh.
write these notes and we'll put together these graphics for the commentators and for the broadcasters.
Right.
And that's something we're always trying to fill out with them. Like, what's gonna help you the best? Like, what's the notes that's gonna get on air? What's the stuff that transpires? So it's always great to hear that from y'all's point of view as well.
Thank you. I think one of the big things about research is most play-by-play guys are going to do most of it themselves
Yeah,
uh,
yeah,
because you just feel it's sort of like a security blanket. You just feel a
yeah,
little
yeah,
more
yeah.
confident when you get
Hmm.
into the booth. But I
Hmm.
think I think one of the big things that you can do for your announcers
Hmm.
is ask them what they're looking for.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what did you not have time to research?
Yeah, yeah, there you
You
go.
know,
Mhm.
that I think would help them a great deal.
Gotcha, gotcha. I appreciate
I'm a big common threads guy.
Mhm,
So, Quinn Snyder's our coach. He went to Duke, played for Coach K. Danny
mhm.
Ferry was his teammate for 4 years, was his roommate. There's a lot of common
Yeah,
strings that weave their way through our team just with the Duke connection.
Jalen
Adam Sil-
Johnson.
yeah,
Yeah,
Silver went to Duke.
yeah,
Jalen Johnson went to Duke.
yeah.
Mike Bray, our assistant coach, coached at Duke. So there's
Wow,
a lot of different common threads that we could pull on for different stories here and there.
gotcha. No,
Um,
that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
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 and I think too that's the fun of it.
yeah, yeah.
I use a lot of different research tools, but one of the most fun tools that I use is newspapers.com.
Okay,
And
okay.
I can get on there and type in, Mike Krzyzewski and
Mhm.
find a story that was written about Mike when he first took over Duke, you know,
Wow,
30 some years ago. And
wow.
it just gives you a little interesting perspective and, a story on what an athlete may have done in high school or college that
Yeah,
wouldn't be in the media guide. It wouldn't be in the
yeah,
notes.
yeah,
So it just gives you a little something extra to ask. And I'll tell you, the best places to get stories are talking to the players themselves. The
yeah.
players and coaches will give you more material that you can ever look up online
Mhm.
because they've lived it.
Yeah, yeah.
This is first person knowledge for them. And
Mhm.
they might not remember all the details, but you can go back and look those up.
Yeah.
So, like Mike Bray will say something about a player that we see in the NBA. Oh, I recruited him. I saw him at this camp, or I saw him at Peach Jam.
Mhm.
And then you go back and look at the Peach Jam rosters from 7 years ago when Mike was the head coach at Notre Dame, and you see, well, he played with this guy and this guy and this guy and this guy, and they were all in the same collegiate conference together. They all like were in high school together, whatever. And it gives you a bigger, broader scope of
Wow.
research, in my opinion.
Wow, yeah. You keep bringing I forgot Mike Bray was the assistant coach for the Hawks now. Yeah,
Yeah.
legendary Notre Dame coach. Yeah. This was his first season, right?
This is his second, starting
Oh,
his
okay.
third.
Okay. Wow, yeah. I forgot he was over
Came
there.
right from Notre Dame to us.
Yep. Yeah. Last question I got for you. Like I've said, you've been doing this for a long time, about to hit 30 years now. Very accomplished. You've seen a lot of games, done a lot of stuff. Out of all the games, everything you've seen, what's your favorite or moment that stuck with you the most from that game? It might be a particular moment in the game or just that specific game.
Yeah. I get that question all the time. It's a great one,
Yeah,
no
yeah.
doubt about it.
Hmm.
But as I look back, I think one of the most fun things that's
Hmm.
happened to me in terms of the teams that I do was when the Hawks won 60 games uh,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago. That stretch, we became the first NBA team in history to go undefeated in the month of January. We were
Wow.
17-0. That'll never happen again.
Yeah, nah.
We won 19 straight games. That's practically 25% of your season.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is because what it did to our city,
Uh-huh.
it turned everybody on to a Hawks game, to being a Hawks fan and keeping up with the team.
Hmm.
And as a broadcaster, when you've got everybody in town watching your games,
Hmm.
that's like the ultimate, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
In this streak, we played Golden State here. And this was Steph in their heyday. And it was the number one show in Atlanta that night.
Wow.
Not number one sports show, number one show. And this is
Wow.
the eighth biggest TV market in the country.
Yeah.
And to have all those eyeballs on
Hmm.
your game,
Wow.
uniting the city, everybody's rooting for the Hawks to win. We beat Golden State, place goes crazy.
Wow.
Those are the things that I remember the most and how gratifying it was,
Hmm.
to have everybody tuning in and watching because it was, it's kind of like our Super Bowl in a way.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were hot and it was a big game and everybody in town was watching.
Yeah. No, y'all had a great season. A lot of the 2015 Hawks, correct?
Yep.
Yeah, a lot of people give that Hawks team, but y'all made it to the Eastern Conference. You see the Cavs just lost in the second round, 64 wins. So it's
Yep.
like, man, you never know.
We were so banged up by the
Yeah.
time we got there. Had we stayed healthy,
Hmm.
there was no doubt in my mind we were going to the NBA Finals. We would have beaten LeBron and we would have gone to the
Yes,
finals.
sir.
But we were a team that was greater than the sum of its parts. We
Yeah,
did
yeah.
not have that superstar. So we had to do it the all of us,
Hmm.
and we started getting guys hurt, guys that were crucial to our success, and we just couldn't make it to the finish line. I don't know
Yeah.
if we'd have beaten Golden State in the finals, but I think we would have gotten there.
Yeah, four All-Stars, right? That was the team. I
Yep,
got four
that's right.
players in the All-Star. Mike Budenholzer was coaching. Great coach, very underrated coach. Yeah, that was a great team. Great team, man.
And
Yeah.
we were uh, the uh, the starting five were the players of the month in January.
Wow. Wow. No, it was Kyle Korver, Jeff Teague, Al Horford.
Amari Carroll,
Yeah, Carroll. It was a great team. Paul Millsap. That was a great team put together. Great
yeah,
coach as well.
really good team.
Yeah. I appreciate your time, Bob. I appreciate you being able to sit down and do
You're
this with me.
welcome.
That was again Bob Rathbun, everybody. Legendary commentator, legendary broadcaster. Thank you again.